Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to an X-Plane tutorial video. My last video, I was a bit nervous because I hadn't uploaded in a while, so my kind of voice was just blurred all together. Now I'm trying to speak clearer and give you guys a good video. So this is my autopilot and just kind of navigation tutorial. I can do a more in-depth one if you guys want, but this is just for beginners and people who are just getting started. So, we'll go into your cockpit view, and first of all, you're going to want to find out where you're going to go. So there's two different ways you can use the autopilot. So first of all, I normally use the navigation version, which will entail this screen right here, the X-Plane 530. So, for example, if you want to do it the way that I do it, you'll find out where you want to go first. So let's just say I want to go to Miami. So I've already put it in earlier, but I'll go ahead and show you guys. So you're going to want to press this button right here that looks like B with an arrow through it. And it'll bring you up to this screen. So if you want to put in your airport, you'll first of all you'll just turn this once. And then that'll reset it to a K. Now you'll want to make sure that you look up your airport code, that way you don't have to try to guess it. So we have K, and that's what we want because it's in the USA. Then you'll want to find the bigger knob. This is what the small one looks like, with the little arrow. And if you move out to the side, it'll give you a bigger one. Now, because my screen's shaking, it's hard. I have a physical device that I can use that you can Amazon or some other places that I'm just going to use because it makes it a little bit easier. So to find the next letter, you'll turn the big knob, and you can see it moves to the next one. So then you use the little knob to turn to the next letter you want. So for me, I need an M for Miami. Then once I find it, I'll turn the big knob to the right. Then I'll find the next letter. So I need an I. And I'll turn the big knob again, and it already comes with an A. Then once you have your airport code in, as you can see, it'll say the name, US Southeast Miami International. You'll want to press the Enter button, and it has ENT. So you'll press that once. I can actually get my screen to stop shaking. And then you'll press it one more time to activate. So now, depending on if you're going north, south, you'll see a little purple line. For me, it's very small. But for you, it might be going straight west, and you'll be able to see it a lot better. So for the next part, I have to kind of get up into the air to show you guys. Okay, so I have my flight paused just because my computer, which I have to use, is away from my flight setup. So once you're up in the air and you have your little line on your screen, what you're going to do is go down to this in the very bottom. Then what you're going to do is you'll press the NAV button, which stands for nav. You'll press it once, then you should press it again. And then once I unpause, it will start turning towards that purple line. So if I quickly just towards that line. Now you may want your plane, so let's just say you are going to go on like a 2-hour flight, but you don't really want to sit at your setup all day waiting until you get close to the airport. So you can also you can do altitude hold, which is ALT, but I prefer, even if I want to hold an altitude, to use vertical speed, which is VS. So I'll click that, and it'll automatically go to 10. And you can use this knob to turn it down. And this is the rate at which you'll climb. We believe it is 6 stands for 600 feet per minute. And if you want, so for example, if you want to go away from your computer for about 5 minutes, and you want to be at 5,000 feet, you can set it to 10 for a pretty steep incline. And this just helps not having to do it perfectly on your own. Then once you're at the place you want to go, you can just set it down to 0. And this will hold your altitude. So I did say that there's a second way to use the autopilot without using the navigation screen, if that's not what you want to do. If you want to kind of plot out your own course, what you'll do is, first of all, you have to find out where you're going, of course. Then this one's a bit more complicated. You'll have to get out a map, or if it's within visual range, as you can see on the navigation screen, if I wanted to go to K, I think that says HMP, I can't tell. So if you wanted to go there, you would have to find out what your heading you need to go is. And right here, you'll see this little orange knob. You can turn that, and you'll notice that right here, there's this little thing that moves. And when you turn it, that will make sure that you're going the right way. Then once you want to have the plane go to that marker, you'll press the HDG button. And you'll press it just once, and then as you can see, the plane starts turning towards where you want to be. And of course, the vertical speed still works with this, and all that other stuff. Okay, so now that you are on your course and you know how to get lined up with the runway, there's one thing that you may notice. You can't really disengage your autopilot very well, because there's no button on the inside that allows you to do it. So you're actually going to want to change your key binding. So you'll want to go to the settings up in the top right. So this is what I use. I use the Pro Flight Yoke system. And what I have for the autopilot disengage is a button that's labeled 2 on here. So you can see right up here, this button is labeled 2. This is what I use. And it's kind of weird. It's not even named autopilot disengage. So you're going to want to look up Disco servers, and it should scroll down a little, whichever side is active. So that will disengage it. So if I wanted to, let's just say, if I didn't have this, I would want to go here, I'd look up Disco servos, whichever side is active. So that, when you apply it, will, whenever you press that button, disengage the autopilot. So right now, my autopilot is engaged. Beep. That'll let you know that your autopilot is no longer engaged. So as you can see, if I look down here, the autopilot no longer has, it just says RDY, it's ready to be calibrated. So now if I leave my computer and it just goes, my nose is because I'm no longer at my screen to see. So that's just really important that you have that key binding so that you can disengage your autopilot when you need to. Because if you can't, then you're going to have to try to fight it while you're landing. And I've done that before, and it's not the most fun thing ever. So now the next part that is kind of important is that if you're using this navigation feature with the 530 or any other navigation screen, you need to know that it is not going to land the plane for you. So for example, if I was on my final approach and I was coming in, I'm not going to want to follow that line all the way. I'd suggest that once you're about 30 nautical miles out, you switch to the HDG button, because that will help you get aligned with the runway. So what you want to do is, I'll pull up this screen, or actually I can't because I have a hollow background to it. But for example, if I wanted to go to KFFC up here, as you can see, I'm already kind of going straight towards it, but this is going to be a weird angle to try to land. So what you want to do is draw in your mind, you can see this little white strip, draw a line out a decent length from it, and make sure that you're not super zoomed in or super zoomed out on your screen. You can tell how far in or out you are on here. It'll say distanced, that is to your destination if you use that. But you can also see, I've forgotten where it is. Okay, I found it. It was just a little hard to see. But if you look right here, it'll tell you about what the diameter of this little circle you're seeing is. If you want to make sure that you're not super zoomed in, I would suggest going to about whatever this is. I can't read it because there's something in the way, but I would go definitely below 50. So I would draw the line out, like I said, a decent bit, and have your plane meet where the end of that imaginary line is. Then you can turn and have a straight approach onto the runway. This will really help so you don't have to make some last-second crazy turns. And of course, like I said, if this tutorial didn't really help you, or if you want a more in-depth tutorial on either the GNS 530 or the autopilot in general, go ahead and give me a comment. I would like to read all of them if it's possible, because you guys can give me some good ideas on what I need to do or what I missed, and just make sure that you tell me exactly what you're looking for or if something didn't work. And I will see you guys in the next video.